Welcome back here on Live Now from Fox. The time 8:32 on the East Coast and 5:32 on the West Coast. You are taking a live look over Beirut in Lebanon as there is discussion about this potential ceasefire deal between Israel and Lebanese Hezbollah. We'll make sure to bring you the latest details as we do get them. In the meantime, there are 101 hostages that remain in Hamas captivity more than 400 days after being kidnapped by terrorists during the October 7th attack on Israel. About 50 days after the massacre, dozens of hostages were rescued, released amid a ceasefire deal that was later broken by Hamas. Today does mark 1 year since Aviva Siegel was rescued and reunited with her family after 51 days in captivity. Now, her husband still remains in captivity. Aviva joining us now live to share her firsthand account of what happened as she was held by the terrorist organization. Aviva, thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us. I can't even begin to imagine what you've been through.
Thank you very much. And I want to just tell you that there's 102 hostages in Gaza because I haven't left Gaza. I'm still in Gaza. I'm still there with Keith. I'm still there with the girls that I was with, worried, and all the hostages. And I just can't explain in words what I feel. I feel so sad, and I just don't understand. What are they still doing in Gaza? In such bad conditions. I was there. I know what it feels. They should have been out months ago.
Can you walk me through what happened to you that day on October 7th, more than 400 days ago?
Keith and I were sleeping, and at half past 6 in the morning, we woke up for the first alarm and ran into our bomb shelter. We didn't even have enough time to close the door or to close the window. But very quickly, we understood that something very big is happening. It felt and seemed like the end of the world. Israel suffered from so many rockets coming from Gaza. And it just felt like my feet were shaking, my house was shaking with me. And I remember looking at Keith in the eyes and saying, what is happening? And shortly after that, sitting and shaking, Keith was trying to calm me down. And Hamas terrorists came and shot my house while I heard that. And then I heard them stepping and walking inside my house. And I remember saying to Keith, they're here, next to the door. And they just, 15 terrorists just shoved inside to a little bomb shelter. They tore Keith's shirt. They pushed him. They broke his ribs. They shot him on his hand. And I want to tell you all that I am lucky to be sitting here and to be being alive, because there were so many moments there that I nearly died. We were left underneath the ground, 40 meters, with no oxygen, and I felt death. It was just the feeling that death was coming so quickly. And I don't know if any of you that are listening to me, but I want to tell you that it's the worst thing that any human being should go through. Feeling like you plead for oxygen and there's no oxygen in the air. And you're just lying and trying to figure out, when are you going to die? And I used to just all the time think that I do not want to see my Keith, that 65 years old, American citizen from North Carolina. I did not want to see Keith dead. He's the most sweetest, loving, giving person in earth. And I was just so worried about him. And being in Gaza for 51 days for me was hell all the time. There was not 1 minute that I could just relax myself and say, okay, just relax. Because I felt that they're going to kill me, the Hamas terrorists, all the time. And buildings are going to fall on me and kill Keith.
You touched on this there, but I do want to ask you, can you tell me about your time in captivity a little bit further? Again, you were held there for more than 50 days. Can you explain to folks out there, because there's so much information about exactly what is going on. So can you explain that to the folks who are watching?
Okay, so a normal day, if you can call it a normal day, we're lying on a filthy, dirty mattress on the floor. And the terrorists are in front of us, playing with their guns. And they're playing with their guns towards us. And then you get the feeling that the building's going to fall on you. And you look at the ceiling. And I used to count the cracks in the wall to see if the building is going to make it this time, because the rockets came out of the building. And we were just lying there. We weren't allowed to talk. We weren't allowed to whisper. And I was starving for 51 days. I lost 10 kilos in Gaza. And I had an infection in my stomach because the water wasn't good for me. And I hardly got any water. So I was dehydrated. And we were just lying there or sitting there and waiting for the worst thing to happen again. If it was they touched the girls or they hit the girls and beated them, or when they took Keith and shaved him looking like an Arab and made out of him a joke, or if we were told in the middle of the night to get dressed looking like Arabs and they just sat us next to the wall in a line waiting while we just wanted to lie down. We were tired and starved while they were eating in front of us. And you see them chewing and you say to yourself, when are you going to get a little bit of food? And you understand that you can't even ask and that you have no rights because they don't even care about you. And one of the times when they put black material on our eyes and walked us down stairs, I'm 63 years old, Keith is 65 years old. We had to go down 3 stories of stairs trying to figure out where to put our next foot. And just everything, and every minute, I prayed that I'll stay alive to come back to my family. And I can tell you that I did lose hope so many times, and I wanted them to kill me because I went through just too much to see them in such a brutal way treat Keith, pull him and push him and tear his shirt and just like do whatever they wanted all the time.
I do want to ask, can you tell me about the day that you were released, really rescued there from Hamas captivity during that ceasefire hostage release deal? Did you know that you were being reunited with your family? What happened that day?
No, because they told us all the time that there's no Israel anymore. Israel does not exist, and that we're going to stay there. And I believed them. So I did not believe the Hamas terrorist when he told me on the 50th day in the evening without Keith that I'm going to Israel. I did not believe him. I was sure that he's going to take me and he's going to rape me or he's just going to kill me. And they didn't even let me say goodbye to Keith. So I pushed them and I went to Keith and I gave him a hug and I looked at him straight in the eyes and I told him, you be strong for me and I'll be strong for you, not knowing what they're going to do to me or what they're going to do to Keith or if I'll ever see Keith again.
Do you believe that the hostages at this point, that enough attention is being paid to them, your husband included? Because again, more than 400 days later, we're talking about more than 100 hostages that remain in captivity. Do you think that enough is being done to bring them home?
You know that when Hirsch, the American citizen that lost his hand and was killed in such a brutal way, his conditions were the worst conditions in earth. He was dehydrated and he was sick, ill. And that's 3 months ago. I was sure that the whole world would stand up on their feet and say, no more. We don't want to let human beings suffer like we saw what they did, what they came back now like. So I really don't know what kind of kid we're going to get back. I do know that I want him back so badly. And I want the girls that I was with so badly and all the hostages back. We became one big, huge family. And I'm worried about them all the time.
There's a lot of misinformation that has been out over the last more than 400 days. So I did want to get kind of your take on it. Can you let me know what your message is to the people who are watching right now? What do you want to make sure they know?
I want everybody that's watching me just to think about somebody that they love, that's underneath the ground, that hasn't got any oxygen, no food. Nobody would want that for their loved ones. So I don't want that too. And I want to ask everybody that can, I'm begging you, please, please to help us. We need the world's help to get them out, because I can't see Keith sitting here next to me, and I want him to be here with me. And I want all the hostages to come back to their families. They do not deserve to be there. And Hamas terrorists, they are the ones that are holding them. They are the ones that he is in those conditions. They are the ones that I nearly died. I touched death underneath the ground. I saw that and felt that. And I saw it on Keith. And I can't imagine Keith being there for more than a year, more than me.
Aviva Siegel, thank you so much for taking the time to join us here and share your firsthand account of what did happen there. Is there anything else you want to add about any of this before I let you go?
I just want to add, thank you for having me, and thank you for listening to me, everybody. I just want to tell everybody that's listening to me that it's the cruelest thing in earth for us as humans to allow any human to go through something like that. The evil cannot win. And I want to tell you that Keith and I are peacemakers, and we do want and always wanted good for the whole world. So please, please let my grandchildren have a good world. And all the people that live in this world need to live and feel safe and be happy and love. The terror should not win. Thank you very, very much.
Right. Aviva, thank you so much. And we are remaining hopeful for your family, for so many other families that are waiting on the release of their loved ones. Thank you again for taking the time to be here with us.
Thank you.